Her ex-roommate, 21-year-old Amanda Lauderdale, for rent, damages to the apartment, and for painting her room purple.
Miss Bugbee, the defendant, who was a friend of yours, moved into your home when you had a fight with your boyfriend, according to her, and he moved out. You needed someone to help you with the rent.
Yes.
She agreed to pay rent, and it is your claim that she left owing you money for rent, and she or her boyfriend caused some damage to the house. You want her to pay for the damage to the house, and you want her to pay the rent that she owes you.
Yes, that's
Ms.
correct.
Lauderdale says that she paid you rent for each and every month that she was living with you, that she caused no damage to your house, and that I think that there's a room color that you don't like. What's the room color that you painted your room?
Oh, purple.
Purple. And that the landlord doesn't like the purple, you're going to have to repaint that, and you want her to pay for that.
Yes.
How long did you live with her?
From August, and I moved out November 1st.
August what?
I don't remember the exact
August
date.
what?
August 2nd.
And you moved out November 1st?
Yeah, that's not right.
When did she move out?
She moved out November 5th. That's not right. That's when you noticed.
Just a second. How much rent were you supposed to pay?
$650 a month.
Did you pay $650 in August?
Yes.
Is that correct?
No, and I have proof. I
Like to
have
see
a
the proof.
bank statement here showing the check that Amanda gave to me, which was only $600.
Can I see it?
Yes.
I don't believe I ever gave you a check.
It was from your mother. It's towards the back. It's a check that her mother wrote to me for her rent.
For $600?
For $600. She said she'd give me the $50 later when she got paid, but she never did.
Okay. So that's $50 for August. What about September?
Actually, if you look through there, it'll show every month that I paid my rent for a $1,300 check, but it never shows any deposits of $650.
That's not what I asked you. I said, did she pay?
No,
Did
I'm
you
sorry.
pay September's
Yes.
rent? Show me.
I always paid her in cash. I gave all my cash to Brittany. Never asked for any receipts because at the time she was a very good friend and I didn't think we would end up here.
Where were you working in September?
I was working at Nordstrom.
You work full-time at Nordstrom?
Not anymore.
So what do you do?
Right now I am planning on going to school. Right now I'm not doing anything.
So you don't do anything. When did you stop doing something?
I believe it was early November, probably a week after I moved out of Brittany's house.
Okay. So when she didn't give you any money, according to you, in September, what did you say to her?
She said that she hadn't got paid yet and that she was going through some financial problems. She was
With
my
what?
best friend. She owed money still to some electric companies and some gas companies from living in an apartment previously, and she still owes money to them as far as I still know.
What about October? She give you any money in October?
She tried to give me a check. It was a third-party check from her Nordstrom's, and I deposited it into my account to me, and I asked Amanda if she would cash it and give the money to me, but she never did.
Why did they return it?
In order to do a third-party check, she signed the check over to me, and I put it into an ATM, but I guess you're supposed to take it into the bank and show your IDs. You can't do it through an ATM.
So why didn't you do that?
Amanda said she was just going to go get it cashed.
I wouldn't have given the check back to her.
Well, I couldn't do anything with it.
Sure you could. You go into the bank with it.
Mm-hmm. And
You go into the, you
brought me
just
with
said to
you.
me that your bank told you you have to take the money, go into the bank. So instead of giving it back to her, if she owed you for 2 months' rent, I would have gone into the bank. I would have made that little extra trip.
Yeah, I guess you're right.
I guess I'm right. Now, she gave you rent for October, but you couldn't cash the check. She took the check and didn't give you any cash.
Correct.
And you didn't say anything to her.
I asked her for the money, and she told me that she would be giving me the money for October and November on the 7th when she got paid, and that was the last I heard from her.
Not true. Not true.
Why did you get into difficulty with your prior bills?
Because at the time I was living with a boyfriend and I was the only one working and I could no longer support both of us. So I moved out.
And when you moved out, the utilities were in your name?
Mm-hmm.
So how much do you owe them?
I never received any of the bills after I moved out. I have no idea how much I owe.
All you have to do is make a phone call.
You're right.
I know. I believe her when she says that you didn't pay her rent. I believe her.
Okay.
Now, why did you decide to leave?
Because she had told me that she was using cocaine and that's why she had a miscarriage. And I just felt like her lifestyle was making me feel very uncomfortable. She was bringing home strange guys in the house all of the time, crying to me about all this stuff, and I couldn't take it anymore. I talked to my mom about it, and my mom said that it'd be a better choice for me to live with my mom instead of Brittany.
That's not true. I don't do drugs whatsoever. I don't bring strange men home, and that's so false. I don't know how else to put that.
Who are you?
I'm Wilson, her boyfriend, Amanda's.
Current boyfriend, not the one that you moved out on.
Current, yes.
Are you the one who broke the door?
No. I was there for the party when the door got broken. It was a Halloween
Oh, well, I
party.
want to hear about that. Stand up. How'd you hurt your foot?
Slipped off some stairs.
Where were you?
At a friend's house.
Party?
No. Just hanging out at his house. Had a couple stairs in the front of his walkway and just slipped down one of them. Twisted the ankle real bad.
You can take the crutch with you if you like.
No, I can stand it.
Great. You get no sympathy from me for doing that. You understand?
Don't ask for it.
Okay, tell me about this party when the door got broken.
Halloween party, obviously. I was at work until about 1 o'clock in the morning. Got there about 1 o'clock, and it was kind of out of control. There was a dancing area, and by the door that got broken, someone opened up the door really fast. It had little glass sections in the door. Somebody swung it open and smacked the window broke. Brittany was trashed out of her mind. She had no idea what was going on. And that's what happened.
Now
I
I'll
saw
hear your
everything.
story.
All right, we were having a Halloween party, and a bunch of our friends were there, both of our friends. And shortly after Wilson showed up, one of his friends slammed the door open, and I was upset, and I said, Amanda, Wilson, make sure you get his phone number. And Wilson and Amanda both said, don't worry about it. It's Wilson's friend. We'll take care of it. They never did, and so now I'm suing for the amount.
Not suing them.
Well, Amanda said that she would make sure that it was taken care of.
Listen, you can't rely on that. Amanda hadn't paid you rent in 2 months, according to you. How could you rely on her saying, I'll take care of it?
It's true, yeah.
I don't believe you. Let's talk about the purple bedroom. Did you let her paint the bedroom purple?
Yes, I did.
Well, then you deal with it.
It's very dark. It's going to take 2 base coats to cover.
And I would start,
She did
Miss
a horrible
Bugby,
job.
I'd start. Okay, Miss Lauderdale, you owe her $1,300 in rent and another $50 from the first month. And the next time, if you pay somebody rent, you pay them by check and get a receipt. Just like you did the first month that you were living there, paid by check. Do you understand? Very good. Judgment for the plaintiff in the amount of $1,350. That's all.
Samantha Cameron is suing ex-boyfriend Christopher Potts for the return of furniture and appliances, as well as rent money and a security deposit. Christopher claims he owes her nothing.
Miss Cameron, you and Mr. Potts were in a relationship. According to your complaint, you decided to relocate with him. You got a job opportunity in Florida. You went down to Florida, 2 of you, you found an apartment, you put down a deposit, first month's rent, and Mr. Potts went down to Florida before you did.
Correct.
When he got there, he had a change of heart. Is that right, sir?
Yes, ma'am.
Why did you have a change of heart, sir?
Well, because at the time she wasn't actively looking for a job in Florida, and I didn't feel like she would be a real reliable person to share all the bills with.
So you were sort of looking for a solid business partner.
Well, I didn't want to put myself in a hole. It would have been easier for me to take care of myself versus me taking care of myself, another person, and a small child.
Because you have a daughter who was relocating with you.
Yes, ma'am.
Okay. Now, Mr. Potts, how much money did she put down on the apartment?
I'm not sure exact dollar figure.
You know the exact dollar figure.
Yes, ma'am. It was $877.50.
So my question to you, Mr. Potts, is what arrangements did you make to get her back her $877?
Well, there really wasn't at first any arrangement because the money that she put down towards the apartment is basically money that I put towards the cost of the moving.
Well, because she was supposed to move.
Well, I was moving.
You both were moving.
Right. If we're both moving, then we both should be coming out of pocket for money.
Well, how much did you pay for all the moving of her stuff, sir?
All right, I had purchased their shipping containers where you load them up yourself. Well, originally I only needed one. The pods were originally $850 a piece. I had paid the $850, and to get an additional pod was $850, so $1,700.
Show me that you paid for $1,700, sir. Show me.
I can't,
Why not?
because I don't have receipts for that.
Where'd you think you were coming to today? To the beach?
Well, that was 7 months ago, so.
7 months ago is a minute, sir. So, I'm going to ask you again, what arrangements did you make to get her back her money, $877?
Well, I paid over $900 to ship her stuff back, which
As well you should.
I don't agree.
Well, I don't give a rat's behind whether you agree or not. Whether you agree with me, Mr. Potts, is not particularly relevant in my life. That's why you come to court. I don't believe you, sir, that you paid $1,700 for a pod for you and for her.
For 2 of them. They're $850 a piece.
What I'm telling you, sir, is show me. Other than your great looks, Mr. Potts, what you have to do is have proof. Proof is a receipt, a paid bill for exactly what it was, and you don't have it.
No, I don't.
Right. You chose to breach the agreement that you had by telling her once she had sent down her stuff that you didn't want her to move there for your own reasons.
No, for the reasons that it was better for everybody.
Fine. Listen to me. That's a judgment that you made. Fine. But then, once you have made that judgment, what you have to do is make Miss Cameron whole. Whole.
Which I
You
did
have
by
to
sending her
return. I'm
belongings.
speaking when my mouth moves, yours doesn't. By making Miss Cameron whole, you have to return her property to her at your expense. It would be untoward of you to think that you changed your mind and now you say you want your stuff back. You have to pay for the shipping of it back to New Jersey. That's ridiculous, Mr. Potts. Now, I believe him that he packed up your boxes and sent them back, that he spent money, as well he should, because it was his option to change his mind, thereby voiding the agreement that you had to move in together. Now, if you want these other items, washer, dryer, table, and chairs, you can make arrangements to get them at your expense. Do you understand? Because I don't think you really want.
That was part of our agreement.
Well, it's unfortunate. I don't know if I believe you. In any event, he owes you $877, which was your down payment. Have you sent it?
No, ma'am, I have not.
Send it. Judgment for the plaintiff, $877. Thank you. That's all.
Megan Coe claims ex-boyfriend Ryan Anderson owes for loans to buy a car and to pay his DUI fines.
Mr. Anderson, you have this petrified look on your face.
Oh,
sir.
I'm not petrified at all.
Let's see what we can do about that.
Okay.
Miss Coe was a girlfriend of yours?
Ex.
I said, I want you to listen very carefully. Put on your listening ears,
Sorry.
Mr. Anderson.
Yes, Your Honor.
I said Miss Coe was a girlfriend of yours, correct?
Yes.
And you knew her for a long time, but got into sort of a more committed relationship around 2003. Sometime, according to you, Miss Coe, in 2005, you loaned the defendant $2,000.
Correct.
Now you want that money back.
That's right.
Mr. Anderson says, never any discussion of paying you the money back? It was a gift?
Correct.
She gave you $2,000 when, Mr. Anderson?
It was approximately September of 2005.
Were you living together at the time?
Yes, we were.
What was the money for?
Well, it was some fines that I had occurred
What kind of fines?
through the court system.
What kind of fines?
They were for DUI conviction.
How much were the fines?
Approximately $900.
Did you pay any of the fines, sir?
I had paid some previously, and those were the remaining balance.
How much did you pay?
The total fines were about $2,800.
Is this the first DUI that you had had?
I had two within a short period of time.
That's why the fines were so high.
Yes, ma'am.
So you paid
Your Honor?
$2,100, yes.
You paid $2,100.
The DUIs...
Shh. I assume that you have something that's going to indicate that that's not the case. I'll look at it in a minute, Ms. Coe. So why did you need the $900 from Ms. Coe?
I currently had no license, and I had to pay the fees off to acquire my license again. So I needed the money to pay off the fees to get my license to drive.
Okay.
And with the hours I was working, it was tough on Megan to get me to work and back from where we were living.
So you must have said something to her. You have to have said something to her, because otherwise she'd have to be clairvoyant to know that
Well,
you needed
she was fully aware.
Shh. She'd have to be clairvoyant to know that you needed $900, so that had to come a point when you said to her something like, I need $900 to pay for the rest of the fines.
Well, we were in a committed relationship at the time.
I don't care, we're committed
So
relationship. I'm talking about words, spoken words.
I understand that. So there's going to be words exchanged knowing, well, how come you're not driving? Well, I'm not driving because I
Well,
still
that's what I
owe-
want to know. Mr. Anderson.
Yes.
That's what I want to know, sir.
Yes. Your Honor.
I want to know what the conversation was, what you said,
Yes.
and what she said.
Megan knew of my circumstances.
Don't tell me what she knew. I want to know what
Okay,
you
Megan knew
said.
because of words being exchanged to each
I
other.
want the words.
I had told Megan that I had received 2 DUIs in the past, and I still owed an amount of $900 that I had to pay to acquire my license.
And she said to you,
And it came to a point where she told me when I was eligible for that she would help me pay for those fines.
and what did you say to her?
That I said that would be great. I could use that, then I could get a car, and I could get my license.
And she said, fine.
Yes.
And that's when she gave you the $900.
That's when the $900 came into play for the fees, yes.
And what was the other money she gave you?
Apparently, she paid $1,000 for a 1983 GMC Jimmy.
What do you mean apparently? What is that?
I've never seen a receipt or a bill of sale for it.
Well, who got the Jimmy?
I drive the Jimmy. The registration's in my name.
How did you get the car, sir?
Megan knew somebody who was selling the vehicle, and she told me that she had given the gentleman $1,000 for the 1983 Jimmy. Okay, I never saw a bill of sale.
And how did she give you the car?
He drove the car to my house. I looked at it and said, okay, you know, not a mechanic or anything, didn't look under the hood, didn't do any of that. You know, looked at it, it was in, you know, good condition for a 1983, had low miles. It's like, all right, $1,000, that's a good deal. You know, the book value is $1,500. No, that's not a problem. So she gave me the keys, went down as soon as I could with the fees paid, and got my license and got the car registered under my name.
Okay, and that's the money.
Yes.
So it's $1,900.
Approximately $1,900, yes.
Go.
All right.
Let's start with the DUI convictions and the fees. You were dying to tell me something.
I have receipts for the payment of the fees, and it's over $900. I went and paid myself in cash, went to the courthouse for him because he had no transportation. Do you want to see them, the receipts?
No, I believe it. He says that you paid them.
Also, it was never a gift to him. It was fully intended to be a loan. I did it to help him out so he could get his license so I would not have to drive him around.
Just tell me the conversation, madam.
In September, he was eligible to get his license back. And so he was in the mix of trying to get his license back. He had these DUI fines that he needed to pay off. So I told him that I would loan him $900+ to pay off his DUI fines. And he would to pay me back in monthly payments and with his January of 2006 tax refund.
Okay, did he do that?
No.
So he didn't pay you back in January 2006. When did you and Mr. Anderson separate?
January of 2006.
Tell me how that came about.
Well, Mr. Anderson's continues to drink excessively and black out, really pretty much assault me and pretty much say rude things to me. It pretty much came to the point the last night I was there that I had to sleep in front of the door so he would not leave and drink and drive again.
Okay, so the fines you paid, and what about the car? How did that come about?
He needed a car. I told him that I would loan him $1,000, and he would pay me back the same way as the DUI fines.
How did you find the car?
My friend was selling his GMC Jimmy. It was $1,000. I asked him if I could buy it from him for Ryan, and he said yes.
And you gave him a check?
I gave him the check.
And he gave you the keys?
He gave me the keys and the title.
And the title. And then you drove it home, or did he drive it home?
Nathan drove it home, the owner.
And where was Mr. Anderson?
Mr. Anderson was at the apartment.
Okay. Tell me what happened when you drove up.
I was like, here's the GMC Jimmy. What do you think of it? I think it's a great car for $1,000. I don't think you're going to be able to find something better for $1,000. And he agreed with me.
That's pretty much what he said? Mm-hmm. Was he working?
Yes, working full-time.
Just a second. September, October, November, December, he was working full-time. He now had a car.
Right.
How much of this $1,900 did he pay back to you?
Zero.
That's because it wasn't a loan. That's because it became a loan when you decided it was over. Because if it was a loan, he would have paid you $50 a month, $60 a month, $100 a month, $25 a week. He would have paid you back something between September and January.
He made excuses as to why he could not pay me back. He couldn't afford going to school.
Then you should have thrown him out. What you did with the car was you spent $1,000 on a car, and then you came home and surprised him. That's what you did. You didn't take him to buy the car. You didn't show him the car before you purchased it. You purchased a car for $1,000, and you came home and said, I got you wheels so that you could drive yourself to and from your job so that I don't have to do it anymore. And if the romance hadn't been over, he wouldn't have paid you back anything. We
continued to have conversations after January of 2006. On the telephone. I have a witness hearing me speak to him. I have a letter stating all the information from the maker of the transactions I did, having conversations with him, making payments.
And B, he's going to testify as to what you said to him on the telephone?
As into the payment arrangements that we have discussed payments on the phone, and he makes excuses every time why he cannot make a payment to me. He was supposed to also pay me with tuition reimbursements from his work. He always made an excuse. He had other bills to pay, so forth and so forth. And that is why I took it to small claims.
A year and a half later, a year and a half after you laid out $1,900.
Well, I told him that he had the chance to pay me at after a quarter of a year, then I would take him to small claims.
After the romance is over, madam, is not the time to say now you have 3 months or 4 months or 5 months. I mean, I'm sympathetic with you, but you were in love with the guy, and you thought your relationship was going someplace, and you wanted him to have the means to get to work.
So because I did him a favor, I shouldn't get paid back a loan that we agreed. We had a verbal agreement.
Listen, I have to make a judgment as to whether or not you, who are sharing a home and having an intimate relationship with somebody, has said to them, this is a loan. You will pay me back in January out of your income tax returns. This is a loan. I am giving you $1,000 towards a car, but you go and buy the car, you purchase the car, you come back, you show him the car, and give him the keys. That's not a loan for a car. So, Ms. Cole, what I'm telling you is, I have to make a judgment. I'm sympathetic with you. I'm sympathetic with you. You're out $1,900, and if he had any moral fiber, he would pay you back. But if you gave him this money in September, and from September to January, he was working full-time and made absolutely no attempt to pay you back a nickel, not $5, and you tolerated that, I have to assume it was not a loan. Period. Your case is dismissed. That's all.
Mm-hmm.